5,499 pesos. That's the price of the cheapest variant of the POCO C65. It's equipped with a Helio G85 processor, a 50 megapixel camera, and a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. But does that make it a great offering when it comes to budget smartphones? Let's find out. So let's start off with the processing package of the POCO C65. Like I said, it's equipped with a MediaTek Helio G85 that's paired with either 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM depending on the variant that you intend to get, and up to 256 gigabytes of storage. So the phone that I have with me for this review is the 8 plus 256 gigabyte model, so take that in consideration when watching this review. Also, you can boost the RAM up to 12 gigabytes via memory boost. Now, in terms of overall performance, that combination actually did pretty well for day-to-day tasks such as browsing the web, thumbing through your feeds, email, and messaging. Now, you do have to bear in mind that when it comes to multitasking, the C65 is not the best. You can to some degree, but you will notice it's slowed down when you have a ton of apps open at the same time. If you're looking for a budget phone to game on, the C65 can game, but you do have to know what you're getting into. I was able to play Mobile Legends on high settings and the experience was pretty smooth. Now, as a Tito, I don't play Genshin Impact, but based on reviews of similarly spec'd phones in the budget segment, you will have to lower the graphics to the lowest that it can go, and even then, you will experience some stutters here and there, so manage your expectations. Now, if you want to see the benchmark scores for this phone, I'll have them up on screen, but generally speaking, we are seeing the same numbers as phones in this price point. Based on our comment section, the main con for POCO phones in general is MIUI, and I have to agree. You are getting a lot of bloatware which you can delete, but app suggestions and other UI features that I'm guessing are meant to help you can be a bit intrusive and can get in the way of the experience, especially if you're coming from something that's closer to stock Android. Now, you can disable some of these things by going into the settings, but some of them really don't make any sense. But anyway, while we're on the topic of cons, let's talk about the screen of the POCO C65. Don't get me wrong, for a budget phone, there's a lot to like about the screen of this device. It's large, measuring in at 6.7 inches, has a decent refresh rate at 90 Hz, and has several certifications that say it should ease eye fatigue. I really can't complain about the picture quality of the POCO C65 either. Colors are decent, but the HD Plus resolution means that you're not getting the best pixel density. But again, you really have to consider the price point of this phone. Really, my biggest problem when it comes to the screen of the POCO C65 is when you take it outdoors. You can barely read it. The footage that you're currently seeing on screen is from a day when it was pretty cloudy outside. The display was already maxed out, and again, it was just hard for me to read. And I swear, it's not just because I wear glasses and my eyesight is, Tito levels right now. Viewing angles aren't so good either, so it's gonna be hard to compose photos if subjects aren't at eye level, which gives me a nice little segue to talk about the cameras of this phone. You are getting two cameras on the rear of the POCO C65. The main is a 50 megapixel shooter and the other is a bit of a filler, a 2 megapixel macro camera. Now, for taking selfies, you've got an 8 megapixel front camera. The 50 megapixel main shooter does pretty well when it has a lot of light to work with. Photos taken outdoors have a good amount of detail, and the dynamic range has really improved with budget phones across the board. You also have the option to go with a 2x zoom with the camera on the C65, but remember, this is just digital, so you are going to lose a bit of details in the shots you take. Portrait mode also does a decent job and doesn't go too overboard when blurring out the background by default, which is always a plus in my book. As expected though, the cameras will struggle indoors and in low light situations. Details will start to get muddy, so make sure you help it out if you're planning to get this device and are going to be taking photos at night. I almost forgot. Here's some footage of me vlogging with the POCO C65. Vlog testing the POCO C65. Front camera, 1080p, 30 frames per second lang. And wala siyang parang special stabilization, so we're just testing out kung okay ba siya. Okay ba siya?
Ah! What?
Yeah, so that's a test of the front camera. Lipat naman tayo sa rear camera. Quick test of the POCO C65 rear cameras, 1080p, 30 frames per second, no stabilization, which is to be expected naman. That's a price range ng phone na to. So take note kung gagamitin ito for the purpose of vlogging. Malamang dapat naka-tripod kayo or dapat
gimbal kung afford ang budget, diba? So yeah, that's just a quick walkthrough using the POCO 65.
Lastly, let's talk about the battery. The capacity is really great, coming in at 5,000 milliamp hours. Our battery benchmark had a clock in at 11 hours and 26 minutes, which is a solid showing for the C65. This means that you should be able to go through an entire day of work without worrying about the phone dying on you with moderate use. Now, when it comes to charging, remember that the POCO C65 only offers 18-watt charging, so it will take a while for you to go from 0 to 100. Again, that's something that you expect of a phone at this price point. And that really is the theme for this review. For its price, the POCO C65 does pretty much what you expect of it. I don't know if that helps you narrow down your choices at this price point, but the competition is very intense between smartphone brands these days. In my opinion, the real standout features of the POCO C65 are its battery and its cameras, but things like MIUI and the fact that the screen doesn't get bright enough plus the viewing angles are my biggest cons. Now, if you're looking for other options in and around this price point, we do have a video listing down 5 of the team's picks, so make sure you check that out. And that's pretty much it for me. My name is Tito James. Peace, God bless, and happy holidays.